Overstimulation. Feeling like your mind is running a marathon with thoughts, ideas, and feelings sprinting around your head, preventing you from focusing on a single task. But what exactly is overstimulation, and how does it make it harder for us to focus? When we're overstimulated, we're feeding our brains more information than it can actively process. In our world, it seems like the main cause of overstimulation are screens, things like our phones, our TVs, iPads, and computers. When we get a Facebook notification that someone liked our post, or we mindlessly scroll through our Instagram, our brains are searching for that source of stimulation. We're actively looking to tax our senses. The human brain is designed to handle a limited amount of stimuli at any given time. When we're overstimulated, our brain gets overloaded and our cognitive functions like focus, memory, and decision-making suffer. Think of it like a computer. When too many applications or browser tabs are open at the same time, the computer's processing speed slows down and it could even freeze or crash. In the same way, when your brain is overloaded with stimuli, it becomes harder to focus on a single task. But we're addicted to this overstimulation because things that used to be stimulating, like being outside or reading a book, now aren't stimulating enough to hold our interest. And the thing responsible for that is a chemical in our brains called dopamine. So I recently read a book called Dopamine Detox by Thibaut Maurice. And Thibaut argues that we all suffer from a constant state of sensory overload that keeps us from being able to focus and meet our full potential. So first off, what is dopamine? Dopamine is a naturally occurring chemical in our brains that a lot of times is described as the pleasure chemical. But according to Thibaut, this isn't true. He explains that dopamine is the chemical cue for reward-seeking behavior. It's the neurotransmitter that motivates you to look for pleasurable experiences, not the chemical that actually causes you to feel pleasure. So when you're thinking about wanting to go on social media or eat that piece of chocolate cake, that is dopamine searching for something to make you feel good. Dopamine has been super important throughout human evolution. It's what motivates us to do all the things that we need to do to stay alive and keep the species going, like eating and having babies. But Thibaut says that dopamine isn't as helpful as it used to be. These days, we're surrounded by social media and stuff that gives us a bunch of dopamine for no reason. It's like, why bother doing anything when you can just sit back and scroll through social media or play video games all day? But all that stimulation is just too much, and it ends up robbing us of our focus and our potential. In the current world, companies use dopamine as a tool to steal your focus. When you're giving your attention to TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram, the more time you spend on there, the more money they make. So how do they do this? Well, when you get a like on Facebook, you get this bright red notification that instantly gets your attention. And when you receive likes, comments, and other things, it validates you and activates the reward center in your brain. This creates a cycle of reward-seeking behavior that can easily become addictive and keep you from being able to focus on the things that you really should be doing. These companies are doing their best to be the greatest at exploiting our brain's reward systems. Whoever does it the best makes the most money. They do this by implementing what's called a reward pattern, and these reward patterns are called variable reward schedules. Essentially, variable reward schedules are just receiving rewards at random. If you ever find yourself checking your phone for no reason other than boredom or out of pure habit, that is the variable reward system at work. We end up checking constantly because our brains are searching for that random surprise that's gonna make us feel good. It's the same reason why gambling or playing the lottery can be so addicting. While doing research for this video, I came across an article from Harvard Medical about how smartphones use dopamine to win our attention, and they talked about an interview done with a man named Tristan Harris. He's the co-founder of the Center for Humane Technology, a former Google employee, and recently was involved in a Netflix documentary called The Social Dilemma. In the interview, he held up his phone and said,
"Is that turns our phone into a slot machine, because every time we check our phone, we're playing the slot machine to see, what did I get?"
The problem is that constantly looking for the next sensory input leads to sensory overload, which keeps you from being able to focus on the work that matters most. When you anticipate a pleasurable activity, dopamine is released. As more dopamine is released, your body needs an increased level of sensory input to release the same amount of dopamine. You're essentially building up a tolerance. According to Thibaut, this leaves you in a constant state of seeking out new experiences or stimuli. As a result, you end up overstimulated, finding it hard to stay interested and less exciting activities like focused work, and struggling to really zone in on what you need to do to reach your long-term goals. In his book, Thibaut argues that the solution to all of this overstimulation is what he calls a dopamine detox. Essentially, a dopamine detox is abstaining from all or most dopamine-releasing activities for a specific length of time. Things like social media, junk food, porn, video games, exercise, sex, and any other things that trigger the release of dopamine. Thibaut has two different models for detox: a total detox and a limited detox. The total detox requires that you remove all dopamine-inducing activities for 24 to 48 hours. So eliminating things like I said before, watching TV, going on social media, browsing the internet, eating junk foods, drinking soda, or exercising. Then recommends doing low stimulating activities during that time. Things like writing in a journal, reading, taking a walk, or meditation. Then he has the dopamine detox. This is a little less intense, but in my opinion, this is more realistic and will provide the best benefits. For the limited detox, Thibaut recommends getting rid of your most significant source of dopamine for 30 days. For some people, it could be eating sugar, or for others, it could be watching YouTube or constantly browsing social media. This is likely to be more successful overall because it doesn't disrupt your life as much as the total detox and is more likely to stick and have a lasting impact. So if after all this, you decide you want to try a dopamine detox, either the total detox or the limited detox, here are 3 things that Thibaut recommends you do to be more successful with your dopamine detox. First, identify the things that you find addictive. Think about the things that you couldn't imagine going without. Is it watching TikTok before bed? Or is it binging a show on Netflix every weekend? These things that you identify are the behaviors most likely to cue your brain to release dopamine. Second, create barriers that make it harder for you to do those dopamine releasing activities. Have someone change the password to your Wi-Fi so you're forced to do something else. Leave your phone in another room, or better yet, get a cheap flip phone on Amazon while you do your dopamine detox so you won't be tempted whatsoever to check your Facebook or Instagram. Then make it easier to do the things that you should be doing, like leaving your workout clothes out. If you're going to create a habit, you need to make it as easy as possible. And third, start your day without stimulation. Thibaut recommends creating a morning routine and making focus a priority over stimulating things like going on your phone or checking your social media. Doing this first thing in the morning sets the tone for the rest of the day. Try to write down 2 or 3 things that you can do right when you wake up to help you focus. Even if you don't want to do a dopamine detox, it's still a great idea to try to train yourself away from constantly engaging in these high stimulating activities. Make it a daily thing to avoid looking at your phone for the first hour in the morning. That's a fairly easy task that can help improve overstimulation. Overall, you want to try to make dopamine fasting more a part of your lifestyle. Instead of going on your phone for 4 hours a day, try to take 2 hours and use it for something productive. Instead of watching 3 hours of Netflix, watch 2 hours and go on a 45-minute walk. The goal here isn't to make your life boring, it's to live a more productive and fulfilling life. Dopamine isn't the enemy. We just need to be more aware of how the world around us tries to exploit dopamine and make a profit, and how we can use dopamine to help us focus and get the things that matter most. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you subscribe, hit like, and comment down below some of the things that you do to help you focus. I'll see you guys in the next video.